Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today it's going to be yet again another Q&A because you told me on my last one that you're not sick of these. I also have so many more questions to answer on that post where I asked you to ask me questions in the comments. I now have over 300 comments on there. So I thought, let's just make another one answering your questions. So if I'm looking down, again, my laptop is right here. I'm going to look through these and answer the ones that I have not answered yet. So let's just get started. First one, have you ever come across any instructors who maybe not liked certain people or favored certain people and it was obvious? The answer to this is an astounding yes. So one of the toxic parts about ballet that was really common before, I think it's less common now because things are going in the right direction, is favoritism. So favoritism is something that is terrible. Growing up, to be quite honest, I was on both sides. So I've experienced both sides. I've experienced being completely ignored and seeing other people be favored, and I've also been the favorite. Both are not good. And even being the favorite, I did not like it because it made me so incredibly uncomfortable because I was in a room with my friends. So both are not acceptable. I think that the teacher needs to be neutral and give attention to everyone because everyone is paying and everyone's in the room. So yes, I have come across instructors who have favored people or have not liked certain people, and many times they do make it pretty obvious. Not all the time, but yeah, it's not a pleasant experience to say the least. What happens if you are sick and a performance is scheduled? So if you're asking specifically for me, since I'm a freelance dancer, that's definitely not a good thing because usually as a freelance dancer, they're only hiring me and Brian and there aren't any understudies. So if I were to get sick, like say during Nutcracker season, that would be very, very bad and I don't even want to think about it. To be quite honest with you, there's no one else that could go in for me. I would probably do my best to perform sick depending on what I had, or at least do a portion. So like if I was doing the Nutcracker Grand Pas, I would probably at least try to do the pas, even if I couldn't do the variation of the coda. But if you're sick, like in general as a professional ballet dancer in a company, usually that's okay because they have understudies and people that can step in for you. Do you do extra cardio like running to build more stamina? I do not run. I hate running. I'm so sorry to the runners. I think you're amazing, honestly, no offense at all. I just personally hate running. So honestly, to build more stamina, I build stamina in the ballet studio by running variations twice through, or just by taking very difficult ballet classes where we're doing a bunch of jumps. A lot of people don't realize how difficult ballet is, so just taking ballet class is very hard. And I also find that my stamina increases when I take long walks, just like not super slow paced walks, but also not speed walking, just kind of like keeping a good pace and going for a long walk helps my stamina. How hard is it, and can professional ballet dancers maintain romantic relationships? So to answer the second part of that, yes, ballet dancers can maintain romantic relationships. That would be pretty depressing if we couldn't. And how hard is it? Again, it depends on who you are. In a ballet company, usually your job is more of like a 9 to 5 kind of hours, like work schedule, Monday through Friday or Tuesday through Saturday. So they're home in the mornings and home in the evenings. Very similar to other people that work like a corporate job. For someone like me as a freelance dancer, I'd say it's even easier to maintain a relationship because I have so much flexibility in my schedule. I'm not tied down to any long-term contract for the year where I have to be there from like 9 to 5. I make my own schedule. Technically, I can really work wherever I go because I can make content wherever I go, and I can take ballet classes basically wherever I go. So I mean, it's difficult. I'd say it's not more difficult than it would be just for any other person that's not a dancer, if that makes sense. You just have to separate your work life from your personal life and make time for them and it takes compromise and sacrifice just like any other job. Are there any roles that you want to revisit from earlier in your career or other characters in ballets you haven't performed yet? I answered that second question in my last Q&A, but are there any roles that I want to revisit? So yes, I really wanted to revisit Sleeping Beauty Act 3 Grandpa, which Brian and I just did in Mexico. So that was really nice to revisit that because it had been, I believe, 8 years. And you're just like a different dancer from 8 years ago. Like I've grown a lot, like in my maturity and my artistry. Another one that I really want to revisit is the Black Swan Paw. Really want to revisit that one. And then I have not done Diana and Actaeon Paw. Brian and I have talked about maybe doing it. I just don't know. I don't know if it's suitable for a tall dancer like me. It's also very difficult. How do you teach yourself ballet classes? Do you write down something or is it just combinations that come up? So as a freelance ballet dancer, I have to give myself class quite often if there aren't any other classes available, and it's how I stay in shape or how I warm myself up for rehearsals if I have to rehearse myself. So how do I teach myself classes? This is different for every dancer, but honestly, I just turn on the music and come up with a combination on the spot for myself. I don't plan it out, I don't write it down. I rarely will follow a ballet class on YouTube also, although that is a really good resource. I usually just put on ballet class music and come up with the combo as I go. A lot of them are usually similar combinations to what I had as a child training. So just like really slow, good, student-like exercises that will make sure that I am maintaining my strength and my technique. So this person says, I'm a dancer and a freshman in high school. When did you start dancing and what did you do throughout high school to go pro? So this is a great question. I started dancing when I was 3 years old, but in high school, I was still in normal high school in 9th grade and half of sophomore year. So I went to a private all-girls high school, which was very strict. And I remember me and my friends that were in ballet also went to that same school. We would stay in the library for all of the lunch period to do as much homework as we could because we knew that we would be at ballet all evening. So we had to stuff our faces and finish our lunch in about 5 minutes, and then we'd spend the rest of the time in the library finishing as much homework as we could that we knew that we were gonna have to do that evening. Right after school, we would book it to the ballet studio, and then we would be at ballet from, 3 to 8:30, 9 in the evening. At ballet, on our breaks, we would also be doing our homework as best we could. And then to further my training, I did start online school halfway through sophomore year, and that made it so much easier for me. I was able to finish my work all in just a few hours throughout the day, and then I was able to go to ballet more often, so I started to go in the morning and in the evening, and I think that really helped me to improve very quickly. There are a lot of French terms in ballet. Do you speak French conversationally or fluently? Neither. I don't speak French at all. Yes, the ballet terms are in French, but that's pretty much the extent of it. And fun fact, when I visited Paris a couple years ago, I took a ballet class there, and obviously they were speaking French, and they were saying obviously the terms in French like I'm used to, but they were saying it so correctly in France that I almost couldn't understand them because I was so used to how incorrectly we pronounce things here in the US, or maybe not incorrectly, but we have an American accent, and I'm so used to the American accent that I almost didn't understand how it sounded correctly. But yeah, I don't speak French at all. Have I always been plant-based? No, not always, but I have been for over 12 years now. Do you prefer turns or jumps? It depends on the turns, but I would say I prefer jumps, but I do like fouettes. When does a dancer know it is time to retire? I don't know since I'm not quite there yet, but I have heard that a dancer will know. And I've also heard that you want to retire while you're still on top, and you kind of don't want people to have to nudge you that it's time to retire. Does your family watch your performances? Yes. My parents come to my performances most of the time if they can, and then I also have some other family that come. What is your zodiac sign? I am a Scorpio, born in November. If you ever had a daughter, would you put her in ballet? I've thought about this question a lot. Ultimately, to be honest, I think I would, but I would never force her. Like if she showed interest, then I would. But if she wanted to quit, I would not force her. Do you get a headache from wearing a bun every time you dance? No. And I think it's just because I've been putting my bun up for so many years. What age were you when you went on point? I was 10 years old. The hardest injury that I've had to recover from, it's probably the hip injury that I actually just had this past Nutcracker season. And it took months of PT and it's healed finally, knocking on wood. But also severe Achilles tendonitis as a teenager. That was rough before I knew how to manage it. And then I did have a stress reaction as a teenager as well that had me in a boot for 6 weeks. But everything overall healed nicely. Do you watch other ballet YouTube channels? To be honest with you guys, I don't watch much YouTube. Usually if I watch something, it'll be scrolling on TikTok. But I do watch some of Luna Montana's vlogs, also Maddie Wu, and that's all I can think of right now. Is ballet a high injury sport? I would say yes. There's just so many different kinds of injuries that you can get from ballet, and it is so unnatural for the body that there is a lot of injury. I'd love to see another What I Eat in a Day. I'm going to be making one of those soon. Is your income from freelance dancing enough to sustain your lifestyle? No, it is not, which is why I have to do something else for more income, which is social media for me personally. But dancers do all kinds of different things to supplement their income because usually ballet income is not enough to survive on. What is the protocol when you take ballet class at a studio away from home? Can you just show up like a yoga class, or do you need to make arrangements? So when you go to a ballet class anywhere really, you need to usually sign up on the website. You can't just show up, although some places is walk-in, but I don't usually trust that. Like if I don't know the studio and I've never been there before, I will usually contact them or look on their website to see how I can register or sign up. And then sometimes I'll find out on the website that you actually do just have to show up and then pay once you get there, or sign in when you get there, or something like that. It just depends on the studio. But if I am asking to join a special class, like if I want to take company class or I want to take a really good student class with some of the students, if I want to take a class that's not open to the public, then I definitely have to contact someone and talk to them. And then usually once they talk to me, ask me if I'm a professional, or ask me for video and photo to prove that I'm a professional, then they'll let me into these different classes. So it really just depends on what I want, where I'm going, if I know the place, and I'm almost always usually gonna contact them to make sure I am doing what I need to do before I get there. And pretty much almost all the time when I step into a studio that I've never been to or a class that I've never taken before, I will ask people where I can stand. I want to be respectful of where other people usually stand or other people's bar spots. Do teachers still give you corrections in classes? Yes, absolutely. Teachers are always correcting you throughout your entire career, even once you're a professional, and I really love getting corrections and coaching. It's the best way to continue to improve. How do the guys train to be able to pick people up? Are they picking each other up in class? Is it a specific bar workout? Do they have to go to the gym to bench press? Must look so different than training for girls. What do you remember about watching the boys train as you were growing up? So the boys growing up, we would all take the same ballet class, but there are some special men's classes that men take to work on the tricks, the big jumps, things like that girls don't usually do. And then as girls, we would have a separate point class to work in point shoes and point work. So those are the separate classes that we would have. There are also men's variations and women's variations that we would usually do separately. It depends on the guy. Sometimes they do need to go to the gym to build more muscle, but a lot of times just picking up the girls over time makes them incredibly strong. but it depends on the guy. So some guys do have to go to the gym or prefer to go to the gym to get stronger. We start PAW classes, partnering classes, very young, or pretty young. I was 11 or 12 when I started, and at that time Brian was around 15, and he had already been partnering for a couple of years. And I just remember practicing lifts with them, and it's just a lot of trial and error, and boys around you will spot you, the teacher will spot you, have a lot of eyes on you, a lot of coaching, and it just takes a lot of practice. So basically we all train in the same way in ballet class, with like a little bit of exceptions at the end of class. Girls will do fouettes, boys will do alto turns. A lot of times boys will do some bigger, slower jumps, and we won't do that. So that's pretty much how that works. I'm reading a lot of these comments, and a lot of them are like repeated questions. So I think that's where I'm going to stop. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A video. I tried to answer as many as I could on this video as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later.